Hey ladies, society and especially men are losing their minds right now because the birth rates are lowering and more women are choosing themselves. Something I noticed is a lot of us who were in traumatic homes or traumatic environments and who were abused, we spend a lot of our adult lives reparenting ourselves. How many of you can say that, because of what you've gone through at an early age, it was almost like your childhood was stripped from you. So you never got to enjoy it. You never got to truly rest in girlhood. You never got to truly experience what it was like to be a kid without fear, without anxiety, without neglect, without abuse, right? And so when you get older, naturally, you are not thinking about kids. Like the last thing on your mind is children. The things that are at the forefront of your brain tend to be how you can reparent yourself. What does this look like? This looks like how you can heal. Okay? It looks like how you can find yourself. It looks like becoming a woman, a womanly woman, and not feeling shame or guilt or fear around it. Okay, because it wasn't nurtured and you weren't taught how to be a woman when you were a girl because of your circumstances and because of the people around you. That's what it looks like to reparent yourself. You're basically doing the work that your family and your parents should have done. Somewhere along the line, they dropped the ball. Somewhere along the line, they failed you. And your adult life is designed for you to then take the lead, take the reins, discover who you are, discover your likes and dislikes, discover your hobbies, your passions, discover talents, discover things you want to get good at, discover who you are. Then you also are working on healing yourself. So if you were sexually abused, if you were psychologically abused, if you went through a lot of early childhood trauma when it came to neglect and abandonment, and having narcissists around you 24/7, you are doing a lot of unpacking. Once you become an adult and you leave that environment, you're doing a lot of unpacking of what's happened to you. You're doing a lot of ruminating and sitting in your feelings and allowing yourself to cry and allowing yourself to go into hermit mode and allowing yourself to feel all the feelings for the first time in your life. And sometimes that could be a long process. That could take you a few years as an adult. You know what I'm saying? To really let go and heal and lick your wounds, because no one's coming to save you. You know what I mean? It's you. You have to do all those things for yourself. And so something I noticed is there is this pressure for women to have children now and, populate and be fruitful and multiply and give us bodies so we can use them for our matrix and use them for, to push corporate forward and to push capitalism forward. I'm sorry, sir, we are not making children for your systems. Like, we're not doing that. We are too concerned about living our best lives, especially in this economy and in this political climate. Who's thinking about that? We're too busy worried about healing, becoming our best version, enjoying our youth and enjoying our life. And if it is our portion to have kids, if that is what God ordained for us, it will happen. But for you to try to push people and force people and use propaganda to make people feel like they're gonna miss out if they don't have kids right this second, or they better hurry up and make them, or what I'm saying, just trying to make people feel pressured to have children to feed the system and to feed capitalism, it's quite literally disgusting. We are too busy trying to survive as it is. Why would we want to bring children into this? And again, this isn't to say F kids and we'll never have kids ever, but I'm saying right now, a lot of us who are in our mid to late 20s, we're not thinking about kids. And I know there's some ladies on here who are mothers and aunties and grandmothers. That's not the majority of my audience, but I know that there are a lot of you on there. Sound off in the comments if you have any daughters or nieces or, granddaughters who are my age, in their mid to late 20s. Let me know if they're choosing not to have kids right now or if they've spoken to you about that, because as I've done my research online, I've noticed that that's a common thing that a lot of older women are noticing, is that their daughters and their nieces are actively choosing to not have kids because of the climate of the world, the climate of the country rather, and just because, when you're healing from things and you're learning to reparent yourself, and you're learning how to be an adult for the first time, and you're reclaiming your girlhood, which is now womanhood. When you're in that healing phase, it requires a lot of introspection. And it also requires a level of selfishness. If we're just being honest, you have to have selfishness to be able to say, you know what, I am going to pick me in this season. I'm going to work on me deliberately and intentionally this season. And I'm going to not bring another human being into this world during this time. And I'm going to do it when it makes sense, and not because society is pressuring me, not because the government is pressuring me, not because patriarchal society is pressuring me. Healing is not linear, and so you have to be selfish when it comes to the attention that you give yourself, your mental health, your self-care, all the things. You have to be whole before you bring another life into this world. And I wish a lot of other women knew that, because I feel like a lot of women don't heal themselves. They go from toxic situation to toxic situation and then bring kids into the world when there's no basis of healthiness. And they didn't work on themselves, and they didn't heal, and they didn't overcome, and they didn't get to live out their childhood. That's why a lot of women who become mothers, they resent their kids, or they're not happy because they never got to experience what it was like to be a girl and to be a carefree girl. And yes, as you become an adult, there's more responsibilities, but at least when you're an adult, you have autonomy, you have freedom, so you can kind of reenact that girlhood that you always wanted, but you never got. So something that I'm noticing as well is women are choosing themselves and their careers and self-mastery over being locked down with a baby. Our highest calling should not be just, oh, I'm a mother. Like, that could be someone's highest calling, but to say that should be all women's highest calling, I don't think that that's fair. I think that your highest calling should be knowing yourself. And now you're moving from a new place of being, and you're self-assured, and you're confident, and you're unstoppable. But unfortunately, so many women have not even found themselves because they are so wrapped up in, oh, I need to get pregnant at this age. I need to get married at this age. I need to do this at this age. I need to have kids, and this many kids this time. What happened to loving yourself and knowing yourself and making decisions on how you feel, not based on how society has pressured you to feel? You know what I'm saying? And no one's saying that it's bad to aspire to be married and have children, but I think that we are losing the plot when it comes to self, because everyone else is being selfish in their own ways. A lot of men want children for selfish reasons. Society wants children out of you for selfish reasons. When are you going to be selfish? When are you going to be selfish? You're the gatekeeper to all of this stuff. Close your legs. You know what I'm saying? Your highest calling should be enriching your life with hobbies and finding fulfillment within yourself. Not outside of yourself. You shouldn't be trying to find fulfillment outside of yourself through a baby. Because I'm here to tell you that baby is not going to be a baby who just relies on you and that's it. That baby is going to turn into a adolescent, and then a young adult, and then an adult. And if all you have is being a mother as your highest calling, what happens when your child becomes independent and no longer needs you? Then it's just you. Do you know who you are? Do you like yourself? Do you know what you enjoy? Or did you just make your whole personality about pouring into the patriarchal system by having a child who you weren't even really ready for? You know what I'm saying? We're just keeping it real, ladies. This may trigger some people, but it's for our own good. We need to hear these things, and we need to talk about these things. Point blank, period. I honestly feel like women are defining what womanhood is for them for the first time. I think I'm starting to see more women talk about how they are choosing to be abstinent, how they're choosing not to have, sex with men, and, just they're keeping their bodies to themselves, and they're prioritizing their health and their happiness. And I think, the male population can feel it and they can sense it, and that's why there's all these studies and articles on male loneliness and how it's at an all-time high. And it's because for centuries, for decades and centuries, men have been conditioned to believe that they didn't have to be good to women. They didn't have to bring anything else to the table but money and security in a marriage and in a relationship. And they're the world is waking up and women are waking up and they're saying, I expect X, Y, and Z out of the man I'm with. I expect him to be emotionally mature. I expect him to be caring, be generous, be kind. These are things that men are not raised to be, because again, we're in a patriarchal society. So I think it's interesting how women are reclaiming their lives and they're choosing to take their lives back and not have children until they've achieved their goals and their dreams later on in life. Some examples of this would be Sierra, Beyonce, Rihanna, just to name a few celebrities that we can, use as testaments to this. Sierra waited until she was in her mid-30s to have her children. Rihanna waited till she was in her mid-30s to have a child. They had beautiful, thriving, healthy careers where they could say, you know what, I saw, I came, I conquered. They did all the things, they are fulfilled in their life, and they probably have no regrets, and now they feel full and feel secure enough to bring a child in. Not, oh my God, I'm pushing 30, let me go hurry up and have a kid. Huh? No. Oh my God, I'm 25 and all my friends are already baby mothers. Let me hurry up and have a kid. No. Hitting your bucket list should be important to you. Becoming a fulfilled woman should be important to you. Getting a bag and maintaining a bag should be important to you. Not bringing a child into this world at this time and at this day and age and using that as a reason to ignore your problems and your issues and live through this child and have an identity through your child instead of having identity through yourself. So ladies, drop down in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this controversial take. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box so you can share your stories there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.